Commander Nora Rivers stared through the reinforced viewport of Research Station Omega, watching crystalline snowflakes dance across the frozen wasteland of Europa. The Jupiter moon's eternal winter had become home to her crew of 12 over the past 18 months, but today something felt different. The station's sensors had detected an anomaly beneath the ice, something that defied their understanding of what should exist in this desolate place. "Commander, you need to see this," Lieutenant James Harrison called from his monitoring station. His dark fingers flew across the holographic display, bringing up thermal imaging that showed a heat signature moving through the ice sheets below. Nora approached, her boots making soft sounds against the metal floor. "Analysis? It's organic, approximately humanoid, but the thermal pattern, it's like nothing we've ever recorded." James glanced up at her, his usually steady voice wavering. "Whatever it is, it's heading straight for us." The rest of the science team gathered around, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of the screens. Dr. Regina Walsh, their xenobiologist, studied the readings with intense focus. "These patterns suggest a biological structure we've never encountered. It's as if the creature is generating its own internal heat source." "Security protocols?" Nora asked, turning to her head of security, Marcus Chen. "Already implemented, Commander." "But..." He hesitated, checking his tablet. "Our defense systems aren't registering it as a threat. It's as if the signature is somehow familiar to our computers." Before Nora could respond, a soft humming filled the station. The sound resonated through the metal walls, creating harmonics that made their teeth vibrate. Through the viewport, they watched as the ice below began to glow with an otherworldly blue light. "Everyone to their stations," Nora ordered, her voice calm despite the unprecedented situation. "Dr. Walsh, prepare the containment lab. Harrison, keep those sensors running. I want to know the moment anything changes." The creature emerged from the ice like a ghost rising through mist. Its form was distinctly feminine, with skin that seemed to shift between translucent and opalescent. Long, silver-white hair floated around its head as if suspended in water, despite the vacuum of space outside their station. What struck Nora most were its eyes, deep violet orbs that seemed to hold galaxies within them. The being approached the station's airlock, moving with impossible grace in the zero-gravity environment. To everyone's shock, it interfaced with their security systems as if it had known the protocols all along. "Commander," Marcus called out, his voice tense. She's requesting entry using our own codes." Nora made a decision that would change humanity forever. "Open the airlock. Containment protocols in effect, but no aggressive measures. Something tells me this is a first contact situation we don't want to mess up." The alien entered their station with the same fluid grace she'd shown outside. As the airlock cycled, Nora noticed she didn't wear any kind of protective suit, her body seemed naturally adapted to the harsh conditions of space. "I am Vera," the being spoke, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air itself seem to vibrate. "I come seeking sanctuary, and..." She paused, her galaxy-filled eyes fixing directly on Nora, understanding. Dr. Walsh stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her caution. "You speak our language?" "I speak all languages," Vera replied. "Your broadcasts have reached far into the void. We have been listening, learning, waiting for the right moment." She moved closer to Nora, and the commander noticed how the air temperature seemed to rise slightly around her. "Your species intrigues us. Your determination, your resilience, your capacity for adaptation." Marcus kept his hand near his weapon, but Nora waved him down. Something about Vera's presence felt non-threatening, despite the obvious power she possessed. "Why have you chosen to reveal yourself now? Why here on Europa?" Vera's expression shifted, showing what might have been vulnerability. "My people are dying. We have spent millennia exploring the cosmos, seeking compatible species to help us survive. Most proved inadequate." She looked around at the assembled crew, her gaze lingering on each of them. "But humans, you have something special. A spark we haven't seen in eons. What exactly are you proposing? Nora asked, though something in Vera's tone made her suspect she already knew the answer. A merger, Vera replied. Not just of our species, but of our potential. My people can offer you technologies beyond your imagining, knowledge that would advance your civilization by centuries. In return, we need. She paused, searching for the right word, partners. The implications of that last word hung in the air like frost crystals. Nora looked at her crew, seeing the mix of fear, fascination, and something else in their eyes. They had all signed up for this mission knowing they might encounter the unknown, but none of them had expected the unknown to be quite so alluring. We should discuss this, Nora said carefully. As a team. Vera nodded, a slight smile playing across her luminescent features. Of course. But know that time is precious. The changes have already begun. She gestured to the station around them, where small crystals had started forming in impossible patterns along the walls. Your world is about to transform, Commander Rivers. The only question is whether you will embrace that transformation, or resist it. As Nora gathered her crew for an emergency meeting, she couldn't shake the feeling that their little research station on Europa was about to become the focal point of humanity's greatest adventure, and possibly its greatest challenge. The way Vera watched them, with those cosmos-filled eyes, suggested she knew far more than she was revealing. The real question was, were they ready for the truth? Secrets among the stars. 2 weeks after Vera's arrival, Research Station Omega had transformed beyond recognition. Crystalline formations grew along the corridors like frozen flowers, pulsing with an inner light that matched the rhythm of their hearts. The crew found themselves adapting to the changes with surprising ease, though none could quite explain why. Dr. Regina Walsh studied her latest blood samples with growing fascination. Commander, she called out as Nora entered the lab. You need to see this. She gestured to the microscope where human cells danced with mysterious crystalline structures. Our physiology is changing at the molecular level. It's as if Vera's mere presence is catalyzing some kind of evolutionary leap. Nora leaned over the microscope, her dark hair falling forward as she observed the strange mutation. Is it dangerous? Quite the opposite, Regina replied, excitement coloring her voice. These changes are enhancing our cellular regeneration, improving our neural connectivity. We're becoming more. Lieutenant Harrison appeared in the doorway, his usual composed demeanor slightly shaken. Commander, we've got another situation. The quantum communications array, it's picking up signals we shouldn't be able to receive. Signals from. He hesitated, everywhere. Nora followed him to the communications hub, where the screens displayed patterns of light that seemed to move with conscious intent. Vera stood in the center of the room, her silver hair floating in an invisible breeze as she manipulated the energy fields around her. Your species is beginning to awaken, she said without turning. The crystalline structures in your cells are aligning with the cosmic web. Soon, you will see as we see, feel as we feel. Marcus Chen emerged from his security station, tablet in hand. Commander, I've been monitoring the crew's vital signs. Their brain wave patterns are synchronizing with these crystal formations. It's like we're becoming part of some kind of network. A neural lattice, Vera corrected, finally turning to face them. Her violet eyes seemed to pulse with starlight. My people discovered it eons ago, the living consciousness that connects all matter in the universe. We learned to tap into it, to use it for travel, communication, even reproduction. But over time, our connection grew too strong. We began to lose our individuality, our passion, our drive to evolve. She approached Nora, her movements liquid grace. That's why we sought you out. Humans possess something we lost, the perfect balance of individual will and collective potential. You resist the lattice even as you embrace it. It's fascinating. Dr. Walsh burst into the room, her tablet displaying new data. Commander, the changes in our DNA, they're accelerating. And there's something else. She glanced at Vera, then back to Nora. The crew's hormonal levels are fluctuating in patterns I've never seen before. It's as if our bodies are preparing for something. Vera's expression softened. The merging begins. Your bodies recognize the potential, even if your minds haven't fully grasped it yet. We will create something new together, a hybrid species that combines human passion with cosmic awareness. And what about consent? Marcus demanded, his security training bringing up the obvious concern. Did you plan to ask us before initiating these changes? Your bodies have already chosen, Vera replied, gesturing to the crystal formations that had begun growing from their skin like delicate frost patterns. Your conscious minds are simply catching up to what your cellular memory already knows, that this is the next step in your evolution. Nora watched as small crystals formed along her forearm, creating patterns that seemed to respond to her thoughts. How many of us will be affected? All who wish to be, Vera answered. But the first wave of transformation will focus on those most compatible. Her gaze swept the room, lingering on certain crew members. Those whose genetic structure resonates most strongly with the cosmic lattice. Lieutenant Harrison studied the communication patterns with growing understanding. These signals, they're not just random. They're memories. Your people's memories. And soon, they will be your memories too, Vera confirmed. The knowledge of 1,000,000 civilizations, the experience of countless generations, all preserved in the crystal matrix. But unlike my people, you will retain your individuality, your unique perspective. You will add to the lattice rather than being consumed by it. Dr. Walsh's tablet beeped with new alerts. The crystalline structures are concentrating in our reproductive systems. This isn't just about changing us, is it? You want to create a new generation. Vera moved to the center of the room, her form seeming to shimmer with barely contained energy. A generation that will bridge the gap between cosmic consciousness and human determination. Children who will inherit both the wisdom of the stars and the fire of human passion. The implications hung in the air like suspended starlight. Nora looked at her crew, seeing the mix of fear and anticipation in their eyes. The changes were already happening, their bodies transforming, their minds expanding. The question wasn't whether to proceed, but how to navigate this evolutionary leap while maintaining their humanity. We need to establish protocols, Nora decided, her leadership instincts kicking in. Dr. Walsh, I want hourly monitoring of these changes. Harrison, document everything you're receiving through that array. Marcus, set up security measures that account for our new capabilities. Vera watched with approval. This is why we chose you, Commander Rivers. You adapt, you organize, you lead. Even in the face of cosmic transformation, you maintain your human perspective. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Nora caught her reflection in a crystalline surface. Her eyes had begun to develop subtle violet undertones, and faint patterns of light danced beneath her skin. They were becoming something more than human, yet her determination to protect and guide her crew remained unchanged. The next phase of evolution had begun, and Research Station Omega would be its cradle. Legacy of Two Worlds. 1 month after the transformations began, Research Station Omega hummed with an energy that defied scientific explanation. The crystalline growths had become an integral part of their environment, responding to emotions and thoughts in ways that both thrilled and unsettled the crew. But it was Dr. Regina Walsh's latest discovery that sent shockwaves through the station. The tests are conclusive, Regina announced during the emergency crew meeting, her own skin glowing with subtle crystalline patterns. For members of our crew are expecting. The silence that followed was broken only by the soft pulse of the crystal formations. Commander Nora Rivers looked around the conference room, noting the mix of shock, fear, and wonder on her crew's faces. Lieutenant Harrison unconsciously touched the crystalline patterns on his neck, while Marcus Chen's hand tightened on his tablet. How is this possible? Marcus demanded, though his voice lacked its usual edge. Some of us haven't even He trailed off, glancing at Vera who stood in her usual place by the viewport, starlight reflecting off her otherworldly form. Physical intimacy is just one path to creation, Vera explained, her voice carrying harmonics that made the crystals around them resonate. The cosmic lattice allows for deeper connections. Your bodies have adapted more quickly than expected, embracing the potential for new life in ways we hadn't anticipated. Dr. Walsh pulled up holographic displays showing complex genetic structures. The embryos are unlike anything in human medical history. They carry markers of both species, but there's something more. She highlighted several sequences that pulsed with internal light. They're not just hybrids, they're an entirely new species. Nora studied the data, her leadership training warring with the reality before her. The affected crew members. Dr. Walsh, Technician Rodriguez, Communications Officer Peters, and Regina paused, myself. She met Nora's gaze steadily. The pregnancies are progressing at an accelerated rate. Based on current data, we estimate full term in about 3 months. Lieutenant Harrison's monitoring equipment suddenly lit up with activity. Commander, the quantum array, it's responding to the pregnancies. The signals we're receiving, they're changing. Vera moved to the center of the room, her presence causing the crystal formations to pulse with increased intensity. The children will be born with full access to the cosmic lattice. They will bridge our species in ways we never imagined possible. But she hesitated, showing uncertainty for the first time. They will need protection. There are others among my people who may not welcome this development. What aren't you telling us? Nora pressed, noticing the subtle shift in Vera's energy patterns. My people are divided, Vera admitted. Some believe that direct hybridization is too dangerous, that it risks contaminating the purity of the cosmic lattice. They would rather see humanity slowly guided toward evolution over millennia. These children. She gestured to the pregnant crew members. They represent a shortcut that not everyone will accept. Marcus straightened, his security training kicking in. Are we in danger? Not immediately, Vera assured them. The crystal formations throughout the station now form a protective barrier that shields us from detection. But once the children are born, their energy signatures will be impossible to hide. Dr. Walsh's tablet chimed with new data. The embryonic development is fascinating. They're already showing signs of neural activity that suggests consciousness. And look at this. She projected a new image showing tiny crystalline structures forming within the developing nervous systems. They're growing their own connections to the cosmic lattice. Technician Rodriguez, usually quiet during meetings, spoke up. I can feel mine, she said softly, touching her abdomen where faint lights danced beneath her skin. Not just physically, I can sense its thoughts, its awareness. It's beautiful. Communications Officer Peters nodded in agreement. They're connected to each other too. Sometimes I can feel all 4 of them, like a symphony in my mind. Nora turned to Vera. What do they need from us? How do we protect them? They need what all children need, Vera replied. Love, guidance, protection. But they also need something more, they need their human heritage. My people lost their way when they abandoned emotion for pure cosmic consciousness. These children must maintain the balance between both aspects of their nature. Lieutenant Harrison's console suddenly flared with activity. Commander, I'm picking up something at the edge of our sensor range. It's like Vera's energy signature, but different. More of them are coming. My people have sensed the changes beginning here, Vera confirmed. We must prepare. The children will bring either a new age of cooperation between our species or... She left the alternative unspoken. Nora looked at her transformed crew, their bodies marked by crystalline patterns, their minds expanded by cosmic awareness, and now 4 of them carrying the next evolution of both species. They had come to Europa to conduct research, but they had become part of something far more profound. "We protect our own," she declared, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Dr. Walsh, I want constant monitoring of the pregnancies. Harrison, strengthen our communications encryption. Marcus, work with Vera to enhance our defensive capabilities. Whatever's coming, those children are under our protection." The crystal formations pulsed in response to her words, creating patterns that spoke of determination and unity. They were no longer just a research crew, they had become the guardians of humanity's next great leap forward, for better or worse. The births came simultaneously, as if orchestrated by the cosmic lattice itself. Research Station Omega's medical bay blazed with crystalline light as 4 new beings entered the universe, their first cries resonating through the quantum array in ways that made the very fabric of spacetime shiver in response. Dr. Regina Walsh, still recovering from her own delivery, studied the readings with professional fascination despite her exhaustion. "Their neural patterns are unlike anything we've ever seen," she reported, watching as the infants communicated through pulses of light that danced between their crystalline formations. "They're not just connected to the lattice, they're enhancing it, expanding it." Commander Nora Rivers stood at the observation window, watching as Technician Rodriguez cradled her daughter, whose skin seemed to shift between human flesh and pure energy. Communications Officer Peter's twins, a boy and a girl, created complex patterns of light that spiraled through the air, while Dr. Walsh's son already showed signs of manipulating the crystal formations around his crib. "They're perfect," Vera breathed, her own form flickering with intense emotion. "More than we hoped for, more than we dreamed possible." She approached the infants, who reached for her with tiny hands that sparkled with stellar fire. "They carry within them the future of both our species." Lieutenant Harrison burst into the medical bay, his expression tense. "Commander, we've got multiple contacts approaching. The sensor readings." He paused, glancing at the newborns. "They're like Vera's people, but their energy signatures are more aggressive. They're not trying to hide their approach." "The purists," Vera said grimly. "They've come sooner than I expected." The children's birth must have sent ripples through the lattice that they couldn't ignore. Marcus Chen was already at his security station, bringing up defensive systems that had been modified with crystalline technology. "Our shields are at maximum, but against beings that can manipulate spacetime itself." "We have advantages they don't expect," Nora interrupted, her tactical mind racing. "Our hybrid technology, our understanding of both human and cosmic principles. And we have something worth fighting for." She looked at the infants, who seemed to glow brighter in response to her determination. The first attack came as a wave of energy that distorted the very reality around the station. The crystal formations throughout Omega flared in response, creating a protective barrier that merged human engineering with cosmic power. The children, sensing the danger, began to pulse in unison. "Extraordinary," Dr. Walsh whispered, watching as her son reached out toward the station's crystal matrix. "They're not just defending, they're advancing our protective systems, improving them in real time." The purists' second attack manifested as beings of pure energy, attempting to phase through the station's walls. But wherever they tried to penetrate, the infants' influence had already strengthened the barriers, weaving patterns of light and matter that even their own kind couldn't breach. "They're adapting," Marcus observed, watching as the children's defensive innovation spread through the station systems. "Not just reacting, but predicting, preparing for attacks before they happen." Lieutenant Harrison's quantum array suddenly blazed with new information. "Commander, the children, they're not just communicating with each other. They're reaching out to the purists, showing them something." Through the station's viewports, they watched as images formed in the void of space, memories of the past months, the gradual transformation of the crew, the moments of discovery and connection that had led to this point. But more than that, they showed visions of potential futures, humanity and Vera's people growing together, evolving into something greater than either species could become alone. "They understand," Vera said softly, her voice filled with wonder. "Even so young, they grasp what we're trying to achieve here. They're showing the purists the path forward." The attacking forces hesitated, their energy patterns shifting from aggression to uncertainty. The children's visions continued, revealing the stagnation that would come from isolation, the strength that could be found in union, the infinite possibilities that lay in embracing change rather than fearing it. One by one, the purest ships began to withdraw, their departure marked by pulses of energy that felt almost like reluctant acknowledgement. The danger wasn't over, they all knew that, but the first and potentially most crucial battle had been won not through force, but through understanding. "They're growing stronger by the minute," Dr. Walsh reported, monitoring the infant's development. "Their ability to manipulate the lattice, to process and share information, it's exponential. And look at this." She displayed new scans showing the children's neural patterns. "They're not just hybrid physically, they're developing entirely new ways of thinking, of perceiving reality." Nora watched as the infants communicated with each other through increasingly complex patterns of light and energy. "What do they need from us now?" "Guidance," Vera answered, her form shimmering with maternal pride. "They have power beyond imagining, but they need human values, human heart, to temper that power. They need to understand love, compassion, determination, all the qualities that made this miracle possible in the first place." The crystal formations throughout the station pulsed with renewed purpose, as if the entire structure had become a nurturing womb for this new species. Research Station Omega, once a simple outpost on Europa's frozen surface, had become the cradle of humanity's next great evolutionary leap. Lieutenant Harrison's monitors continued to track the retreating purist ships, but his attention was drawn to the quantum array, where new signals were beginning to appear. "Commander, we're receiving messages from other outposts, other stations. Word of what's happened here is spreading. People are interested, hopeful, and afraid," Marcus added realistically. "This changes everything, not just for us, but for all of humanity." Nora looked at her transformed crew, at the glowing infants who represented both humanity's greatest achievement and its most significant challenge. "Then we make sure they understand. We show them what we've learned, that evolution doesn't mean losing who we are. It means becoming more than we ever dreamed possible." 6 months after the birth of the hybrid children, Research Station Omega had become something beyond its original purpose. The crystalline structures that once merely decorated the walls now formed living architecture that responded to thought and emotion. The 4 children, growing at an accelerated rate that put them developmentally at around 5 years old, had transformed the station into a bridge between worlds. Commander Nora Rivers stood in the newly formed observation dome, watching as Rodriguez's daughter, Luna, created constellation maps from memory, her tiny hands weaving light into precise astronomical data. Nearby, Walsh's son Orion was deep in conversation with the quantum array, his consciousness extending through space to monitor distant phenomena. Peter's twins, Nova and Stellar, worked in perfect synchronization to maintain the station's enhanced defensive systems, their powers complementing each other like binary stars. "Earth's representatives will be arriving within the hour," Lieutenant Harrison announced, his own crystalline implants glowing with incoming data. "The children have already prepared a welcome that they say will ease the transition. They're worried about their reception," Vera observed, moving to stand beside Nora. The alien had become more solid over the months, as if her extended contact with humans had given her a greater appreciation for physical form. They sensed the fear mixed with the wonder in the approaching delegates' minds. Dr. Walsh emerged from her lab, her tablet displaying the latest development charts. "Their growth continues to surpass all projections. Not just physically, their understanding of both cosmic and human principles is evolving hourly. They're creating new sciences, new ways of thinking that merge both aspects of their heritage." The arrival of the Earth delegation was heralded not by traditional docking procedures, but by a dramatic demonstration of the children's abilities. As the ships approached, the space around the station transformed into a living canvas of humanity's journey, from its first steps on Earth to its current reach for the stars. The display was both a greeting and a reminder of human potential. Welcome to the future, Nora addressed the arriving officials as they stepped through airlocks that had been enhanced with crystalline technology. What you're about to see may challenge your understanding of what's possible, but I ask you to remember that everything here grew from human courage and determination. The delegates, a mix of military leaders, scientists, and government officials, tried to maintain their professional composure, but their awe was evident. The children had prepared their own welcome, creating interactive displays that allowed the visitors to experience firsthand the harmony of human and cosmic consciousness. Impossible, breathed Dr. Elizabeth Reeves, Earth's leading xenobiologist. The level of genetic integration, the enhancement of human capabilities without loss of essential humanity, this should have taken thousands of years of evolution. Perhaps, Marcus Chin replied, his security officer's caution now tempered by months of witnessing miracles, or perhaps humanity was always capable of this leap, waiting for the right catalyst. The children approached the delegates, their movements graceful and purposeful. Luna stepped forward first, her form shifting between solid and light as she spoke. "We want to show you something," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to touch something deep in the human psyche. The path forward. Together, the four children created a vision that filled the station, not just of humanity's potential future, but of the challenges and choices that lay ahead. They showed the delegates worlds where human determination and cosmic awareness worked in harmony, where the barriers between species fell away to reveal new forms of existence that honored both heritages. "This is what you fear," Nova said, projecting images of conflict and resistance. "And this is what you hope for," Stellar continued, showing scenes of advancement and discovery. "We are not your ending," Orion added, his presence steady and reassuring. "We are your continuation." The delegation's response was a mix of emotions that the enhanced humans in the room could now sense clearly, fear warring with hope, conservatism battling with the desire for progress. But underneath it all was a growing understanding that they stood at a pivotal moment in human history. Admiral Chen, the highest-ranking military officer present, was the first to speak. "The security implications alone are profound," Nora interrupted smoothly. "But consider this, every advancement humanity has ever made carried risks. The first time we harnessed fire, split the atom, reached for the stars, each step was a leap into the unknown." Vera moved forward, her form now a perfect blend of ethereal and physical. "My people once faced this same choice, to remain pure but stagnant, or to embrace change and growth. We chose poorly, becoming so focused on cosmic consciousness that we nearly lost our capacity for love, for passion, for the very things that make existence meaningful. These children," Dr. Walsh added, "represent not just a biological hybrid, but a perfect balance between cosmic awareness and human heart. They prove that we can evolve without losing our essential nature." As if to demonstrate this point, the children began sharing personal memories, Luna's delight in human music, Orion's fascination with Earth's oceans, Nova and Stellar's love of human games and stories. They showed how their vast cosmic awareness was anchored and enriched by human emotions and experiences. The station's crystal matrix pulsed with increasing energy as more ships arrived, not just from Earth, but from other human outposts across the solar system. The news had spread, drawing those brave or curious enough to witness humanity's next step. "The choice isn't whether to accept this change," Nora addressed the growing assembly. "The change has already begun. The choice is whether to embrace it, to guide it with wisdom and compassion, or to resist and risk losing the opportunity to shape our own evolution." The children, sensing the pivotal nature of the moment, created their most ambitious display yet, a vision of the solar system transformed by the harmony of human and cosmic technology. They showed Earth's deserts blooming under the influence of crystal matrices, Mars terraformed by consciousness-guided systems, the asteroid belt transformed into a network of living stations. "This is not the end of humanity," they spoke in unison, their voices carrying the weight of both ancient wisdom and fresh wonder. "This is humanity reaching its full potential." As the delegates began to discuss the implications, to plan for the integration of this new reality, Nora found herself back at the observation window with Vera. Below them, Europa's icy surface reflected the light of Jupiter, while above, the stars seemed closer than ever. Was this your plan all along? Nora asked, though without accusation. Vera smiled, her form shimmering with contentment. The plan was to save my people from their own stagnation. What's happening here, what these children represent, it's beyond anything we imagined possible. They carry the best of both our species, and something entirely new as well. The crystal formations throughout the station pulsed in harmony with the children's presence, a constant reminder that the future had arrived not with a bang or a whimper, but with the laughter of children who danced between stars.